Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I thought it was time for another reading update, but first I want to thank everyone that subscribed to my channel. Last week I restarted my channel and I re-uploaded some old videos, and I already got some subscribers and some comments, so thanks for that. Recently I finished Timescape by Gregory Benford, which I talked about in my last video. Yeah, a bit of a disappointment. I really like the setup of this novel. It started with a scientist trying to save the world by sending a message back in time. And you follow both these scientists and scientists in the past, in the 1960s, are getting weird messages and trying to figure out, what's it all about. And you follow these scientists who try to get these messages into the past. Well, the setup is really fun, and well, they tried to fix like a paradox, because they struggle with the fact that if they send a message back in the past and they change the past, which also changes the future, which means they won't send the best message in the first place, which creates a paradox, and so they struggle with this thing and they try to fix it. Which is the fun part of this book. The not so fun part is the character stuff. The characters are really flat, which is fine because it's not unusual in like a hard science fiction book from this time. But the writer decides to create a lot of drama by having scientists argue with their wives and cheating on their wives, and it's like a scientist who's like trying to sleep with a lot of girls, and yeah, it doesn't really add to the story, and it's not really fun to read at all, and well, it doesn't add anything. And I read it for like the main story, and I kept reading it to figure out how it's gonna end and if they're gonna fix this paradox and if they're gonna fix the world. And well, I thought the ending was also disappointing. I think the writer took the easy way out, and well, just a huge disappointment all over. So yeah, I've read better books, and yeah, not what I was hoping for, so I ended up giving it like 2 stars. And yeah, I'm reading a Stephen King novel, The Gunslinger, the first in the Dark Tower series. Now this is more of a fantasy story. People always say, is it fantasy, is it sci-fi? In my opinion, it's definitely a fantasy story, but it definitely has some sci-fi elements to it, and maybe these get bigger the longer the series goes on, but yeah, it's definitely a fantasy western, and also has sci-fi elements and horror elements a little bit. And well, mostly it's very weird. There's definitely, I haven't read anything like it before, and it's about this gunslinger who is hunting a man in black, which is a character which featured in another Stephen King novel before, The Stand, which is a novel which I have lying back there, which I read about halfway through and then DNF'd it. Yeah, so far I've been a bit mixed on Stephen King novels. I read Salem's Lot, which is a horror novel, which I liked, but The Stand I had a hard time getting through. But this one really grabbed me from the start. Usually for me it takes a while with like series or novels before they really grab me, but this one basically grabbed me from the first page, which never really happened with me before. And it's very atmospheric and yeah, a lot of fun. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. So about halfway through already. It's a small book, about 200 pages, a little bit more, but yeah, it's a quick read. Stephen King reads are pretty easy reads, so yeah, curious to see where it's going. But yeah, very atmospheric. Yeah, definitely hooked me in. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna read the whole stories because yeah, it's a lot of fun and can't wait to see where it's going. Probably gonna be done with it pretty quickly, so the next novel I'm gonna read is another fantasy novel, which is The Elfstones of Shannara, which is the second Shannara novel. I read the first novel, it was the first one I read this year, and which was also a disappointment. The first novel was basically a Lord of the Rings copy, especially plot-wise, it was very similar. He just changed around some names and some character names, and so yeah, huge disappointment. Said I'm gonna give him another try, and so this is the second novel, The Elfstones. The Elfstones were a huge part in the first novel, but they were never really explained, and so I assume they're gonna get more focus in this one. I hope Terry Brooks really writes his own story here. He wrote his Lord of the Rings novel, which a lot of others had to do it back in that time. So I hope he writes his own thing, and I hope he proves to me that he can write his own story. So yeah, I'm curious to see how the story will continue. Yeah, those are my reads. Let me know what you're reading. Let me know if you read any of these and what you thought of them. So yeah, and yeah, I hope to get my channel back up and running, and I hope some other old viewers find my channel back. So anyway, thanks for watching, and until next time.